Hey guys, it's What Ifs here, and today I'm going to be doing What If Deku. Yeah, what if Deku had Scissor Seven's powers? This is going to be one of my favorite what ifs. It's also going to be a neglect Izuku what if, just so you guys know. So it's going to be pretty sad at the start, but later on it will be just him being very OP, kind of cold, and badass. So, yeah, let's get straight into it. We start off with a 4-year-old Izuku and a 4-year-old Izumi. They're twins, and currently they're making their way to their parents' room. They're so excited, they're jumping and around, and they jump on their mom and dad's bed and they're like, "Mom, Dad, today's the day we finally get our quirks." So Inko's like, "Ah, sweetie, okay, we're coming." And Toshinori, because yeah, Toshinori, All Might. In case you guys don't know who Toshinori is, so yeah, Izuku, um, Izuku and Izumi both get in the car with their mom and dad. I mean, with their mom, since their dad is staying at home because All Might do secret work. And you guys are asking why All Might's debuffed. It's because that's how this is gonna work. Well, like, it can't work any other way. So, yeah. So, Izuku and Izumi go with the quirk doctor. And they're in the doctor's office right now when the doctor walks in with a kind of sad frown when he sees Izuku, but his face brightens when he sees Izumi. Izuku kind of catches this but doesn't really think much of it. Then he sits down and he asks Inko if he wants the good news or the bad news first. Inko said that it's better to get the bad news out of the way first, and this is when the doctor said that Izuku was quirkless. Izuku's broken by this. Like, he can't believe that he, of all people, someone who adored quirks, was quirkless. He dropped his toy and he's crying, but he still has a smile on his face. And the doctor says that you can't really become a hero without a quirk. This breaks Izuki even further, and he's just crying, but he's not really making any sounds. Inko's saddened by this, but then Inko says, "Then what about the good news? And then the doctor says the good news is that Izumi will or has a very strong telekinesis quirk. It works based off of stamina or energy. So yeah, she can become a very powerful hero." Inko's expression is immediately brightened up by this and is like, "Do you hear that? You can become a hero." And Izumi, she's laughing like, "Yes, yeah, yeah, I can become a hero, just like All Might." And Izumi's like, "Yeah, just like All Might." And they get in the car and they go back home. When they get back home, Toshinori asks how it went. Inko says that, "Oh, Izuku's quirkless." And Toshinori is saddened by this. He's like, "Oh, okay." Then Inko's like, "But don't worry, Izumi has a powerful telekinesis quirk." I know Izuku. Toshinori's like, "Ah, there is my daughter." And this Izuku heard this. He's like, "What?" Like, because he's a bit confused. But as a kid, he didn't really think much of it. So they go to school the next day, and Izumi is eating lunch with the Bakugo twins and the Todoroki twins. Bakugo twins being Katsuki Bakugo and Katsumi Bakugo, and the Todoroki twins being Shoto Todoroki and Shota Todoroki. Um, Izumi's talking and she's like, "My brother still wants to become a hero, but he's quirkless, so how should I stop him? Because I don't want him to get hurt." And Bakugo comes up with it. He's like, "Wait, why don't we just, you know, bully him? If we bully him enough, he'll realize that bullying does this much, then being out in the hero world would do a lot worse, and he might stop." Izumi is like, "Yeah, that could work." Katsumi also agrees. So does Shoto. But Shota is like, "Are you really sure, guys? Like this could cause them like trauma, since she kind of knows what trauma is, since Endeavor and all that shit." But yeah, Izumi says no, it's fine, and you know, Shota's just like, "Nah, you guys can do that. I don't want to." And Bakugo's like, "Join us, like you have to help us." And Shota's like, no. And, you know, that happens. They stop bothering Shota because he doesn't seem comfortable bullying him, which, you know, they accept. And they go outside. Izuku's currently sitting under a tree. This is like his favorite tree ever. It's like a cherry blossom tree. And he's eating his lunch under it. And Bakugo comes up and he's like, no, Izumi comes up and he's like, Izuku, do you still want to become a hero? And then Izuku says, yeah, that's the thing I want to become worse than no. And before he even finished the sentence, right, he gets exploded by Katsumi and Katsuki. He's like, don't, you quirkless nerd. You can't become a hero. You're too weak. And, you know, Izumi's like, he picks up his brother and he's like, yeah, too weak. Stupid brother. And, you know, she, like, flings Izuku. And Izuku goes far, bro. And before he can even hit the ground, you know, Shoto shot some ice. The ice was, like, blunt, so it didn't impale him. But, you know, it did do some damage. It did some very bad damage. He's, like, bloody and beaten when they're done. And Izuku goes back. Or, yeah. Izuku goes back to... No, not Izuku. Or they, you know, Izumi, the Todoroki, Katsumi, and Katsuki go back. As they go back, Shota comes out. And he's like, I'm sorry for not helping you. Izuku says, oh, it's fine. And, you know, Shota fixes Izuku up because Shota has some medical knowledge. Because if Todoroki's like always getting hurt by his dad, then yeah, she's usually the one that patches him up. So that happens. Let's continue. So that happens, and Izuku. Let's have a 8-year time skip. Izuku is now 12, and they're bullying him. And then, you know, the bullying goes too far, and Izuku decides that he doesn't want to go home anymore since he's being neglected because his parents don't feed him lunch no more. He has to cook food for himself, and he's just like, no, I can't stand this anymore. So he runs out of school, and he just goes directly into the forest. He was going deeper, and deeper until he finds a cave. Now, this cave has a skeleton at the very back of it, and the skeleton is wearing a cloak. It's the same cloak that the black-haired, red-eyes person in the right picture is wearing. You guys don't know who this is? That's Seven from Scissors 7. Yeah, you guys should really watch the show. It's on Netflix if you guys don't know. And yeah, it's a very good show. And also in front of him, on the skeleton, is a sword, but the sword is kind of stuck into the stone, kind of like Alex Alberuti. This sword is called the Thousand Demons Dagger. Yeah, because it's a sword that's shattered into like multiple pieces and is still connected together somehow. But it's, you know, it's not really gonna stay connected together for too long. So Izuku goes forward, and you know, he tries to touch. When he touches the sword, he instantly gets pushed into his mindscape, and he sees Sister 7, and Sister 7 is looking directly at Izuku, and he's like, finally, I found someone worthy for my power. I know, Izuku's like, what? And then Sister 7 clarifies by saying, I've been waiting here for, I would say, like the last 1,000 years, waiting for someone worthy enough to me to pass on my power to, and I've chosen you. So, will you accept my power? You know, Izuku, you know, he breaks down. He's like, yes. And Sister 7 says that they're gonna have to train for like the next 3 years. So, yeah. Izuku lives in the forest. He trains for like the next 3 years. And he looks like the picture in the left. He is like very toned. He's very toned. He's a bit taller. I would say like taller than Ida by like just a little bit, just like a bit. No, the same height as Ida. And his hair is still green, and his eyes are still green, but that will kind of change when he uses Scissor 7's power. He trained his ki. You guys know what ki is. Like, I'm not talking about Dragon Ball ki. I'm talking about like in the show there is ki, and you use that ki to like manipulate objects and use certain powers. But Scissor 7 only uses it to manipulate objects. So Izuku's going to be using His kind of main weapon is gonna be scissors. But when he's doing vigilante work, or a dire situation, he's gonna be using his sword, which is called the Thousand Demons Dagger, and it's a pretty cool sword. I can't lie, it's a pretty cool sword. So Izuku finally comes out after like 3 years, and he goes to apply for the exam. And when he applies with his name, but he doesn't apply with Izuku Yagi. He does it with, what's it called? Wait one sec. Okay, I'm sorry for the random cut. My mom called me again. So let's get straight into it. Izuku's name is now gonna be not Izuku. He's just gonna go by the name like Seven. And yeah, wait. Never mind, does not matter. So he goes by the name Seven, and yeah, he applies under the name of Seven. And yeah, he goes to the entrance exam. He does not sit beside Bakugo this time, cause yeah, that was stupid how they made that happen. So he doesn't sit beside Bakugo this time. He sits kind of off, but he doesn't really mutter, and Ida has no real business just pointing at him for no reason. So yeah, that doesn't happen. He explains it, and everything goes to canon except Izuku and Bakugo don't sit together, and he doesn't get bothered. He goes to the exact same area he went to before for doing the exam. And he starts getting ready. He starts doing crutches. He starts walking up to the front. So when Ida comes over, he's like, "You're going to go distract that girl, aren't you?" And then Izuku's like, "What?" Then he sees like a girl in front of him, right? And he's like, "No, like, why?" Then who's the name? Ida's like, I know what you're doing. You're trying to get a better chance to get into the school. If so, then you deserve to become a hero. Izuku's getting quite pissed off. So he just like completely just like tones Ida. And he's like, "Dude, you don't know what the f you're talking about. You just leave with your weird ass haircut." I had to, but he just tells him to leave, and Ida doesn't listen. He's still trying to stop Izuku from disturbing or ruining the chances of that girl, which he is not doing. But Ida, being Ida, the little dick he is, doesn't listen. And Izuku's he's done. Izuku just like grabs Ida by the shoulder and just like pushes him down. And he just sits down, and then this is when President Mike says, "And go." Izuku rushes off, and he's like destroying robots, and he's like doing like hand with his hand. So and he has like incredible speed. Like his speed could rival Prime All Might, but he's not really using Prime All Might speed right now. He's just like using like, I would say, shit. Ida with reciprocal burst speed, that around speed, and he's completely destroying every single robot. And everyone's amazed, but he didn't destroy every single robot. He left like a few for the others. And this is when Izuku just goes on the building, and he's like taking like a little nap, and this is when the Zero Pointer comes up, and he hears a girl scream. This girl being Uchako Uraraka. Izuku sees back and is like, how can these people be called heroes? They're running away when there's someone to save. So Izuku, he runs up, he jumps, and he can't jump as high. He jumps as high as he does in canon, since like I said, he has incredible strength, speed, endurance, and like everything. And yeah, Izuku he finally summons his scissors. His scissors just like appear out of like nowhere, and he does hand movements, and his scissors split, and with his two hands he starts waving them around. But that's what it seems to other people. But right now he's controlling his scissors, and he's simply dicing up the Zero Pointer, and the Zero Pointer like crashes down, like completely scattered. And the scissors are made of like a very strong metal, so they won't break going against the Zero Pointer. And yeah, he's the way the Zero Pointer. He ran over to Uraraka. He carried Uraraka. like Ryo style, after he ripped up the rubble. And he dropped Uraraka off at recovery room. And yeah, this is when he goes home. And when he goes home, he he decides that time to do his vigilante work, like I said he would do. So he's outside on a roof, and he closes his eyes and like meditates a bit. When he does this, his hair changes from a darkish green to a complete black. His eyes turn red, and the cloak or the outfit that 667 is wearing in the right appears on him, and the sword appears on his back, and he goes out to go do his vigilante work. That's all for this episode. I mean, for this part, I'm so sorry. It's not as long as it should have been, but it's like 9 p.m. and I don't got time for this. Tomorrow I'll upload 2 videos like I said I would, and yeah, that's it, guys. Peace out.